Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, depending on where you are joining us from. You are welcome to the HR Roundtable. I am Kwabena Nyameche Dapa, and I'm excited to have you here as we're going to have a very interesting conversation on measuring the impact of training programs as a manager or as a supervisor. But before we go into our discussions, I want to know who is joining us live online. We want to have a very, very interactive session. So please do also leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know who we have here. You can just write by saying, this is Amma joining from Kumasi, or this is Kofi joining from Cape Coast, or this is Kwasin from Cape Coast, or this is Ajuvi from the Volta region. Wherever you are joining us from, we want to hear from you. Or probably you are joining us from overseas. Maybe you're in the UK, you are the US. Over the time, we've had people joining us around the globe, thanks to technology and thanks to the internet. So please let me hear from you in the comment section. Let's know who we have in today's conversation. Great, I have Marianne. I have Marina joining from Geneva. Great, Marina, thank you for joining us. I have Isaac Maulom here from Mikasa in Accra. Okay, all right. And I have Isa all the way from Tamale. I have Jennifer from Jolu. Right, Jennifer, you are a neighbor. We are not too far from Jolu. We share the same premise with the National Banking College at the airport residential area. I have Paulina, that's Lena from Keshi, Jennifer from Jolu. Right. Thank you so much for joining in. Before we go in, let's have a quick discussion. What are expectations for today's conversation when it comes to learning and development? Like, really, what are your expectations for today's conversation? I can see Mariam joining from Accra, Yaira from East Legon. Great. And I must say that this program is proudly brought to you by the HR Certification Center. Now, the HR Certification Center is into human resource or international human resource certification programs. We have three standalone certification programs. We have the Associate Professional in Human Resources, which is PHRI, is an international course. We have the Professional in Human Resources International, and we have the Senior Professional in Human Resources International. These are internationally recognized certifications. So if you can get them and work outside Ghana or wherever that you are, you can study with us, get a certification from HRCI, that's a Human Resource Certification Institute, all the way in Geneva, USA. So that's what we do as a company. We also provide training for managers and executives and leaders. We have we just finished one of our training, our short courses on employee disciplinary systems, and it was amazing. A lot of learning happened there. And I must say that as an HR leader, or totally as a leader, managing people cannot be left only in the hands of human resource practitioners. At the heart of it, if you sit at the table as a leader, you are certainly directing people towards a certain goal, and you should have your skill of managing people properly placed, or else you're going to run your business into avoidable liabilities. Not only will you run your business into losing your top talents, but you can also get in you can have problems with the National Labour Commission, and you end up paying very heavy fines. And this year I was told that they have reviewed their fines for those who are found culpable of the law. So please invest in programs like the executive short course in employee disciplinary systems, or one of our 6 models that we run for the certification course, which is the labor laws of Ghana. So in summary, that's what we do at the HR Certification Center. And I want to hear from you. Let me hear from you. What are your expectations for today's conversation? What do you look to learn today? What do you look to learn today? What do you expect to learn today from our conversation on measuring the impact of training programs as a leader? I I mean, from where we sit as a certification body, we have a lot of interaction with HR practitioners, and from time to time, sometimes we hear issues like management doesn't want to give budget for training because sometimes the HR leaders or the HR managers, when they're giving their reports, they are mostly in qualitative terms. So they really don't see why they should be putting in money because they're not seeing it affect their the bottom line, and how HR leaders have to explain to top management on how to just oppose the for training is very, very important. And these are some of the things that really led us to having this conversation with some top HR leaders who have seen it and done most of where we probably might be, so we can learn from them. And indeed, it's going to be a learning situation or a learning environment. We learn from them, they also learn from us. So we seek to have a very, very interactive conversation or interactive webinar today. So I like how the conversations are coming, but I've not seen your expectations. I've seen where you are coming from, where you are getting from. I can see Comfort from Accra. I can see Margaret Day from Accra. I can see Mariam Afo from Accra. But I can't see your expectations. Let me see a few expectations, and then we'll jump into the discussion for today. I must say that we are live on Facebook, we are live on LinkedIn, and then we on YouTube. Please share this link with all your colleagues and friends or anyone who you think this conversation would benefit. Okay, I can see Solomon from Jolu. Please let me hear what are your expectations for today's conversation, and then we'll jump right into it. If you just joined us, this is the HR Roundtable, and we are having a conversation on the topic measure the impact of training programs as a manager. This is proudly brought to you by the HR Certification Center, a leader when it comes to human resource certification and leadership development. Okay, so let me check the comment section if I have any expectations in here. Okay, I don't have any expectations in here yet. Okay, all right, so let me invite our guests. So we expected to have Madam Margaret Jackson on today's call, but due to certain circumstances beyond her control, she was unable to make it. But we have another great HR practitioner who has been practicing for some time now, and he's highly regarded by both colleagues and stakeholders for his outstanding performance and resilience in his HR role. He is currently the head of HR at Halcyon MH. Halcyon MH. His innovative ideas and commitment to driving change have earned him respect and recognition from top management. Outside of his corporate responsibilities, he serves as a life coach, extending his expertise to help others. He has received numerous awards for his exceptional contributions and was recently appointed as the partner. He holds a degree in banking and finance. Wow. Along with certifications in senior professional human resources international, leadership in employee relations and engagement, and an executive mastery certificate in leadership and human resources. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Hope Kobler. Hope, good to have you here this evening.
Good to have you, Governor. Good afternoon, and good afternoon to the listeners.
Great, 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 great. Before we started, we were having a very interesting conversation about living in Accra, but we won't go there.
No, right.
We are going to go straight to what we are discussing for today. We should be expecting Madam Doris Ahiati, who is having a few challenges with her internet, but she'll join us shortly. And then we'll have this roundtable discussion about measuring the impact of training programs as a manager. So Hope, let me just go to the comment section. I can see some comments. I see Isaac saying, I hope to learn how to measure KPIs in human resource performance. Isa says outcome of training program and the necessary decisions to take afterwards. Great, 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 great. So Hope, let me get your opening remarks. I mean, when I called you for this topic, measuring the impact of training programs as a manager, what really came to mind, and with your experience, how did you feel about it? Hope, did I lose you? Are you there? Oh, internet. I think I lost Hope. I think I lost Hope. So we'll try and get Hope back in, and then we'll continue with the discussion. But in the meantime, let me hear what your expectations for today's conversation are. What your expectations are for today's conversation. I've had Isaac and Isa give me their expectations. So let me hear from all the others we have on today's call or today's discussion. As I work on Hope getting in, there was this quote that I read today about learning and development, and it's really made sense to me. It says learning and performance will become one and the same thing. Everything you say about learning will be about performance. Okay, all right. I think I have Madam Doris here. Great.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi. Loud and clear.
Awesome.
Great. Thank you for joining in.
It's my pleasure.
Super. So as I said, Madam Doris was having a few pictures with her internet, but she's in here, and I also have Hope here now. So we finally have a full house. Okay, Hope, I have you now.
Yeah, sorry, my internet went off again. Sorry. So
Yes,
which time
sorry,
internet
sorry,
again?
sorry. So let me introduce. I introduced Hope already. So let me introduce our second guest. She is Doris Ahiati, and her mission, spanning over 22 years and counting, is to help executives, medium and small scale enterprises, boards, corporates, and other institutions ultimately attain financial freedom and abundance through coaching, advisory, and consulting services. She has experience including lecturing, training, facilitating, speaking, and mentoring, playing lead roles in capacity building and finance projects that impact lives inclusively, sustainably, and transform economies by leveraging technology and human potential. She thrives in environments that require interaction with multiple stakeholders, is intellectually stimulating, emotionally fulfilling, and offers international exposure. Years of leadership experience in investment banking and finance broadly have sharpened her focus, skill, and mindset. So today I have two people who have some background in banking and finance. So Hope has background in banking and finance. Doris too has background in banking and finance. But I know Hope has probably thrown his own away long time ago. He's more into the HR now.
Yeah, certainly right, Governor.
Okay, so great. Madam Doris, good to have you here this evening.
It's my pleasure to be here, Kwabena. And hello
Great.
to
So,
Hope.
Hi, Doris.
Okay. So I'll take your opening. I took Hope's opening remarks. So I'll take your opening remarks, Doris, and then we'll kickstart the conversation.
Right. Thank you very much. And my opening remarks, as far as the topic is concerned, and we are looking at effectiveness of training. I know that in times like this, when we talk about the global inflation that all institutions, all countries are battling with, organizations tend to look at the cost that they are incurring, and the low-hanging fruit for most people is let's cut costs. And when we
Yeah.
talk about cost cutting, the first area that a number of organizations would look at would be training costs. And I want to open
Mm.
today's conversation by saying, no, 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 no. Don't you touch that. Don't you touch that training budget. It may be what
Mm.
will give you the innovation you need in order to leapfrog and expand so that you are able to thrive despite the
Mm.
challenging times that we are in. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I love the ending part of it. So say don't leave the training out because it might be that's one thing that will give you the edge to train your people and make them viable to bring in more money. So training can never be left out. Thank you very much for that. Right. So let me start with Hope on the first question. Hope, I mean, with your experience, why do you think that it's essential for managers to measure the impact of training programs part to their teams?
Thank you very much. It is very essential for every organization to measure whatever they do, because for every business, we are looking at making profit. So whatever you do, you want to measure it to see how best it is bringing you some fruit or some dividends. So it is very key for you to measure everything you do. For training, it's very key that you measure it as against it aligning with organizational goals. What was the goal for the year? What is the strategic goal? How do you ensure that we are meeting up the goal that we set for ourselves for the year? So for every organization, before the following year starts or the year starts, they might have set up some strategy. So what I said is the plans to ensure that we are meeting up our goals. So the training must be able to align with the goal of the organization for the year, so that you are not doing something that is so off limit or off board what the organization has set for itself for the particular year. So it's very good
Mm.
to measure your training to ensure that you're aligning with your organizational goals, your strategy for the year. And it also helps you to be able to allocate resources, like Doris rightly said. For most organizations, when they want to cut costs, they are looking at training. And even before our listeners join in, we were having a discussion on some cutting of costs that organizations are putting in
Yeah.
place and what I also want to put in place for my organization. So allocation of resources is very key. And once you are not able to allocate your resources appropriately, that is when you would
Mm.
have organizations saying that, okay, let us cut budget on on training. But once HR and
Mm.
the training coordinator or L&D manager knows how to allocate resources appropriately, they are able
Mm.
to get the buy-in of executives, get the buy-in of their line managers, get the buy-in of the organization that they are working with.
Mm.
So I'm sure allocation of resources is very key. Aligning with organizational goals is also
Mm.
key, so that you are able to measure the training you are set up for yourself for the year. Yeah,
Right. Right. So essentially, you're saying training is important to align the departmental goals with the business or strategic goals.
right.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So, Doris, what would be your take on this as well?
So I'm looking at why is it important for me to assess a training which has been undertaken,
Mm.
whether it was effective or otherwise. And I'll come
Mm.
from the perspective of goal setting. There
Mm.
must have been a reason why I signed up for this training program for my people, my most prized asset. What was that goal that led me to invest in that training? And how do I know whether that goal has been achieved or not? This, I think, is the primary reason why I should undertake that assessment or evaluation to see whether the training was effective. Coming from strategic priorities, there may be certain opportunities you are looking to tap into, new markets you are preparing to enter into, some gaps that you've seen in your organization, some feedback, customer complaints that you've received that requires you to do something to do with the organization's reputation, something to do with the morale, the motivation of your people, and professional development. So many that I can think about. That could be the reason or the pointer for you to have undertaken the training. Let's call it a problem. And if it was a problem that you attempted to solve through this training program, you want to assess whether the problem has been solved. Because guess what? If you don't undertake that assessment to confirm that indeed the problem has been solved, you are going to continue to suffer whatever ramifications or challenges, if it was reduction in sales, if it was heading in the direction where the business may collapse, that you would continue heading in that direction because you thought it's enough to do the training and you didn't care to assess whether the training was effective. I think the second reason, besides whether the goal has been achieved, whether the problem has been solved, would be what evidence are we gathering so that tomorrow, when we need to seek buy-in or approval to invest again in training, that we have grounds, we have evidence that the past training were effective, and therefore there is adequate grounds for us to invest again in today's training. Thank you.
Okay, I think I'm falling in love with how you end your presentations, because the latter part of it leads me to the second question about gathering evidence. So now the training has happened. How does the HR gather enough evidence so that he or she can get the buy-in of executives in the next quarter or the next time that they ask for a training budget?
It seems that you've answered that question already. And I think it is evidence that you present to say that here is the value we got from the previous training. Here is the value. In all transactions across the world, we pay money for the value that we receive. And so you want to convince and persuade whoever is going to sign the next check that there was value in the previous training. And so that you can use that as historic indicator that today's training is also going to provide some value. And I think that in addition, when we talk about value, I had already hinted at what is the need. So as an organization today, what are our strategic priorities? Where are we heading? Is it that we want to access some new markets? What will it take? What will be required for us to access these new markets? And if that is the strategic priority, and I present that, okay, we've identified that to enable us achieve this strategic priority, there is, during the needs assessment, we've identified a gap when it comes to our human resource. And therefore, we need to bring them up to speed in order for us to achieve that strategic priority effectively. And effectively, by effectively, I mean the resources that will be required. You probably may achieve that priority. However, it may come with excessive cost monetary wise, cost reputational wise, and you want to take care of it by investing to bridge the gap so that you save that additional cost, could be the reason. It could also have to do with the current condition of talent pool. If the level of professionalism being displayed requires that there's a gap and there's need for additional professional development, if you want to send the company's reputation to a certain new level, standard, I'm working with some organizations that say, we are recognized here, we want to become an African brand, we want to become a global brand. What does it take to get there? And so you would have to invest in your people to equip them with skills and competencies, the professionalism, the creativity and innovation that they need, morale, motivation. If you are looking to expand your productivity for the organization, you may want to look at this as grounds, as value why you should invest. If you are thinking about increasing your bottom line revenues, this could also be the value that you are investing in training in order to achieve. So I think you focus on the value that you will get in return for investing in that training, and it should be enough grounds for you to secure that buy-in.
Great, great. So I hear you saying some of the ways that you find to secure the buy-in, you must find the problem, and you mentioned things, gap analysis, the strategic options of the business, where the people are, and where you want to take the people to, so that it can help you to develop the value. Okay, I'll come to you again because I want to pick a lot from what you said. Let me go to Hope and pick Hope's mind too on this. So Hope, with your
Yeah,
experience, right? How do
yeah.
you now get the buy-in of the executives?
So, for you to get somebody's buy-in into something, first of all, I will personally look at the person's involvement, the person's engagement in what I'm going to do. So I'll
Mm,
first of all get executives buy-in. I'm going to get their buy-in by engaging with them right from the beginning of the training, or right from the beginning of whether we are setting up the training plan. So once I have their involvement, already I have solved about 70% of my problem. Once they are involved, I know that I have solved that 70% of my problem. So getting approval for money will not be too much a problem. The
mm,
other thing too is that when I think I'm going to speak about three things. I've spoken about the first one. The second one is it is said that in God we trust, all others must bring data. So once I have data for the
that's
previous
interesting.
training,
In God we trust,
in
all
God we
others bring data.
all others must bring data. Yes. What is the data concerning training for the previous year? So,
Okay.
if I had the data for trainings that was conducted the previous year, I mean, I was a people's development lead for NutriFoods Olam, and we want to find out how many people were trained and what is the impact of training for the previous year before going into the coming year and then asking for budget or asking for approval. So, what's the data for those who were impacted or those who went for the training? How much cost was incurred in the training? What is the result of their training? What did they do with the production line? Did they solve the problem on wastage? Did they solve the problem of the challenges they face on the production line? So once you have sorry, once you have all this data available for management, you already get
Mm,
their buy-in. Um, for everybody who wants to invest in something, they want to see some dividend come out of it. So you look at the return on investment. If I'm going to train salespeople for the organization, how much of sales did they make in the year after being trained? So I can say that okay, Kobna was in skill set one. After training, Kobna has been moved to skill set three because of his knowledge, because of his achievement. So there was I've done the analysis and everything. So Kobna is no longer underperforming, but Kobna has performed very well. His achievements, his actuals, his achievement is already is showing. So this is the data to show that okay, Kobna now can sell about 30,000 worth of products. Initially, he was selling 5,000. Now he's selling 30,000. So management can now see that okay, the training that I had for Kobna or training Kobna going for training. Sometimes, let's say for instance in Singapore, I asked training Kobna to go
mm,
for training in Singapore. I paid for the flight,
I'll
everything,
go.
hotel, everything.
Yeah.
Of course, you will go. I know. And then by the time Kobna is coming back, the return on investment on Kobna going for the training in Singapore is that the rippling effect is that business has changed. We are having a lot of customers. We are not even able to meet our customers' demand because it is too much. We need to employ more people. The business has expanded because Kobna has been able to leave the training that he went for, and the cost on the training is not something we can say that we actually lost of that. So it is very key for us to one, get the executive buy-in, get them involved in the training. get them to
Mm,
also understand the data that comes with training, because data is very real. For us as HR, sometimes
mm,
we renege on data. We speak to abstracts, but
mm,
recently we are moving from abstract to now dealing with data. And it's very key for us to know the return on investment for every employee when they go for training.
mm.
When they come back, there should be something for us to prove to management that this person has actually improved after the training. Yeah.
That's interesting. So I see you, I hear you say executive engagement, gather data, return on investment. So from both Hope and Doris, I hear consistency and running a working system, right? So let me go to Doris, then I'll come back to Hope. Now, Doris, you spoke about some key things in finding the problem or developing value. Now, you spoke about gap analysis. Okay, how do you um, properly do the gap analysis in order to get the kind of outcome you want? Because sometimes you notice that fetching data from people can be hectic. So, how do you get the enough data to do that gap analysis? That is one. Then, number two, as a manager, how do you? So let's talk about. Okay, no, let me finish the gap analysis. Then I'll build on it for the second question. So let's talk about the gap analysis.
Okay. So thank you very much. And I will come at it from this perspective. Let me first share what we must not do.
Okay.
I'm a firm believer that HR must not see themselves to be responsible for just payroll, day-to-day transactions, but they need to understand that they are an integral part of an organization's strategy. In fact, they should
Mm,
hold strategy, because every organization's strategy is run, implemented, and achieved through its people.
mm,
And that is where HR should see itself to sit, more strategic. And if you are sitting in that place, then it means you are looking at the future needs of the organization.
mm,
Where is this organization going? We have been producing plastics, or we've been producing petroleum products. And we see that with global warming and climate change and the demands, carbon footprint, it's becoming too expensive for us. Where do we see our organization tomorrow? And if we look at the development in the marketplace on the global stage, and we see that tomorrow we should be sitting in a place where we are not generating any carbon footprint, for example, and we potentially
mm,
would have to be diverting into green energy production, then what are the
mm,
needs of the organization at that future time? And how does our current expertise, when we look at the competencies and the skill sets of the people that we have in our employment today, how does it match up to the future needs? That could
mm.
already point to you. So you are looking at skill set matrix assessment against the future needs of skill set to see, are they aligned with the future needs of the organization?
Oh, I think
Looking at the future
Doris.
needs of the
Okay.
organization. And another way that you can get the data for you to determine what you should be doing, what training would be relevant or impactful, is the feedback you get during your performance assessment. I believe every
Mm-hmm,
quarter, end of year, you are doing the performance evaluation, and you are able to determine the overperformers, the underperformers, and the average performers. Here
mm,
as well, you would want to investigate what accounts for the higher performance, what accounts for the
mm-hmm,
underperformance, what can we do in order to accelerate this person's performance. So that's another source
mm,
of information or analysis to determine what investments in training should be undertaken. And then
mm,
the organization's mandate will be the third way that I want to talk about. Currently, what are our targets as an organization? We have a vision, we have a mandate. How are we able to deliver that vision? The targets that we set ourselves for the short term, for the medium term, for the long term, how are we trending against that? And if we are lagging, then we want to investigate what could be causing it. How do we compare against our competitors in the same industry? In the area of training, what are they doing differently? Where do we need to invest so that we can match up or even exceed them? Are we trending too slowly against our target? How do we accelerate our progress towards our target? That could be the information that makes you identify some training intervention to bring on board. How are people working together, collaborating? What is the kind of energy that we radiate? All these are sources of information. And so you can get this information by specific analysis, by engaging a consultant to do the assessment for you, a needs assessment for you. And then you have your performance evaluation numbers, which you already have. You also have your strategic plans for the future, which should tell you how you are tracking in order to make a decision. And you can also do specific surveys as a way of soliciting the information, questionnaires, your staff members respond, or you can use the matrix and then you compare it with what kind of skill set that you want to have in your organization, and you can compare and see that there are gaps here. What you don't want to do as HR is to see yourself as a small department sitting somewhere where you decide that, oh, I need to run some training this year. I like
Yeah.
this training. I fancy it. Therefore, I'm bringing this training. No, you are not likely to get value. And you don't bring the training because as HR, you like it or you are needing it for yourself. It should be coming to address a real need of the organization. And the training, the mindset to it should not be just a tick box. I'm looking to do a training. What training do I fancy? Which one haven't I done
Yeah.
in the past? Let me go bring it. No, by all means, ensure that you've done your research and there is some evidence that there is need, okay, for what you decide to bring on board as training. Thank you.
That's very apt. That's very apt, Doris. So I mean, this information necessarily goes to everyone who is in a people management role, not just HRs, but of course, HRs are seen as the gatekeepers when it comes to people in the firm. So it lies mostly with HRs. And then I like how you say that HR should not just see themselves as a silo and just try to tick boxes. And I like what you said that leaders or HRs must understand the external and internal environment. They must be commercially aware and business aware as well. And you should do a lot of scenario planning. From what you're saying, you should do a lot of scenario planning in order to know the need and to pick up from there. And I also love what you spoke about organizational mandates. Businesses or HR or leaders or managers must understand the organizational mandate so that they can organize training to meet it or see the gaps that are evident and organize training to close out those gaps. Thank you very much, Doris, for that. So, Hope, you were large on data, gathering data.
Yeah.
How have you been gathering data? You send surveys around. How easy is it to get feedback with surveys? Do you engage the departmental heads? How have you been gathering data as a professional?
Thank you, Komna. Data is very relevant, like I said. And to gather data, it can be a little daunting, depending on how you look at it. For me as a manager, if I want to gather data, we have several means of gathering data. When you go on WhatsApp right now, there's a pool that you can just solicit ideas from people or get to know what the challenges of people are. For instance, in your organization, we have a WhatsApp platform. You just go on WhatsApp, just put in certain key indicators there or some key highlights there. How do you think, or what do you think this organization should, what do you think we should do to be able to get more customers? See the opinions from people. I think that the other option I'm going to suggest or to make bring on board will be something we have left for a very long time. The
Mm.
suggestion box. Recently, when you go visit companies and then you open their suggestion box, it's dirty, it's dusty, and there's obviously nothing in it at all.
Maybe
But
technology
there are
technology has solved that problem.
exactly. So we have
Yeah,
left that. But then again, we have employees who may not be sophisticated
tech
and they
savvy.
may not be
That's
so
true.
outspoken and may want to write something or may want to suggest
Mm.
certain things, but because you don't have that available to them, they may not be able to readily
Mm.
provide you that feedback. So suggestion box also plays a
Mm.
very key role for gathering feedback from employees or gathering information from employees. The other thing I will speak on will be focus group discussion, where you
Mm.
get employees coming together, you put them in their clusters. Okay, all those within this band or this grade, all those within the
Hope,
sales
hope.
department.
Let me intercept on this one. When we
Sure.
put our employees in focus groups, do they really talk? Do you really get the feedback that you want?
Well, it depends on who is moderating the session. If the
That makes
moderator
sense.
is the stern person who um, previously may not allow people to speak or may just pose the questions anyhow, the people may not talk.
Mm.
Okay, so if I am the
Yeah,
moderator for a focus group discussion, there are questions I want
yeah.
to ask. I may not go direct. Okay, I
Mm.
would use other means of getting the information I want. If I want to speak on
So
maybe
so
communication,
so then
yeah,
so then speak to this for me. How do you create inclusive focus group discussions? So starting from the people who lead it, do you train them before they start leading the focus group discussions? What is the process you go through to have an effective focus group discussion?
those who lead focus group discussion must be people who identify with employees and their needs. Okay, once you identify with them and they identify with you, they are able to open up and speak with you. You would have
Right.
an HR manager who does not have the human in the resource. Okay,
Mm.
the HR is just there and is just performing the duties, but there has no human in the resource. There must first of all be the human in the resource. So if the HR manager or whoever is going to moderate that focus group discussion, that person must have that humane or that attitude of listening to people, and the people
Mm.
must know that this person is ready to listen and is ready to work with whatever they say. Okay, so if
Mm.
you're going to moderate that focus group discussion, they should know you, your track record, and know that once you are there to listen, you are going to work with whatever they say. Employees would
Mm.
not speak when they know I'm going to speak and nothing is going to come out of my thought or whatever I'm going to say.
Submission or
Whatever I
yes.
say will not be taken. They may not even
Mm.
come into the room or wherever you invite them to, even it's a ballroom or any place you invite them to. They may not show up because they will tell you that
Mm.
historically, all this has been said and done, but nobody works with it. So they may not speak to it at all.
Yeah.
So you must be
Yeah.
able to have the track record of being able to solve their problems. It may not be every problem you can solve. You may not solve every problem.
Mm.
Sometimes you need to, some of the
Yeah.
problems are beyond your paycheck. You may have to escalate it to management or to ESCO for them to look at it. But the little
Mm.
ones you can solve, let them know that the ones you can solve within your merit, you have already
Your
done that.
merit,
Let
yeah.
them see sometimes we need to sell our story to the employees for them to know that we have been able to
Mm.
do this, do that, and do that based upon what the surveys that we conducted, based upon the feedback we got from you in the suggestion box, based upon
Mm.
the information we gathered from you during the focus group
Mm.
discussion. You mentioned all of this. We have been able to solve out of 10, we've been able to solve 5. Let them know, communicate to them that you have been able to do something about it. Once they know that,
Mm.
they will trust you to tell you more.
That's true.
You get
That's
it?
true.
Yeah,
I like where you have taken the conversation through, especially, I mean, human resource. We are dealing with people, and history is
exactly.
very important when dealing with people, because I was telling a friend that when you are dealing with someone, it depends on history. History really determines how people interact. if you are dealing on a clean sheet, the person's responses are different. But if you are dealing with a sheet that has a lot of writing on it, their interaction too is different. So I really
Exactly.
like how you've brought it into the focus group and how we get people to speak and all that. And for me,
Yeah.
it brings to the fore the importance of personal leadership, right?
Yeah.
For HR practitioners and leaders at large, because people now get to trust you for who you are or who you have
Yeah.
shown them to be, for them to give you
Yeah.
relevant data that you can work with. So
Yeah.
great presentation right there, Hope. So let me go to Doris. Doris, um I'm sure we will not be able to get to too much specifics because every training has its own key performance indicators. But from your experience on the overhead, what would you say are the KPIs or the key performance indicators that a manager or an HR person should be looking at when they are running a training program? Doris, do we have you? No, I can't hear you. I think you are muted. No, can you hear her?
No, but I can hear you.
Uh-huh. We can't hear you, Doris. We still can't hear you. Doris, we can't hear you. We're unable to hear you. Okay,
She's
I
gone
think
off.
she'll join back. Yeah, I think she'll join.
Yeah.
So let me well, we're enjoying the conversation too much. We forgot we had an audience. Please forgive us. But I hope this is being very impactful and you are learning a lot from this roundtable discussion we are having. Isaac says, concerning focus groups, I think getting an external person to moderate the discussion could help the employees to share their thoughts freely. I think so too. I think so too. Isaac, thank you for that. So please, if you have any comments, do well to drop them in the comment section, and I'll take the time and to read them out, even though we have just a few minutes to round up. But let's hear from Doris. Doris, you're welcome. I hope we can hear you now. No, we still can't hear you. What's going on? We still can't hear you. I'm sure you can hear us, but we can't hear you. Uh, Please check your mic settings. Maybe you have not chosen your mic settings. Ah, it's unfortunate we can't hear you. Oh, well, we're just getting to the crux of the conversation. Oh, this is not good. Okay, so let we are trying to work on Doris's microphone so that we can hear her. So please bear with us. Mm. But do you can you try taking out the earpiece and just using the phone and let's see how it works. Okay. So as we wait for Doris to work on her microphone, if you just join, this is the HR Roundtable, and we are talking on the topic measuring the impact of training programs as a manager, a supervisor, or a leader. And for HR practitioners, this is so important for us. No, so important for you because I'm not an HR person. It's so important for you as HRs because you are the gatekeepers of the people, and every now and then you go with your budget to management to get the training ins and all that. So this is very, very important. I want to hear from you what you have learned so far in the comment section. Let's get the conversation running. One thing that Hope said that has really stuck with me is in God we trust, all others should provide data. That's very interesting. Please don't take Hope's analogy into your relationship, because data you'll find problem. That's just on a lighter note. Okay. So Hope, let's take the question again. With your experience, I mean, at a glance, what are the key performance indicators you would look at when you are having a training?
Right. So again, I'll look at feedback from managers. Okay. What was the feedback that I gathered from managers when their team members attended the training? So typically of a training session I would organize for my employees or my colleagues, depending on their department. I would go to their line managers. What do you think has been the change in so and so who attended this training? What are some of the things that you've seen has been a change? Do conduct an evaluation, okay, on the
Mm,
employee to see if there's been any change. So that's become one of the KPIs or one of the metrics I'm going to use to see if there's been any change at all. The other thing I will look
mm,
at for is the return on investment I mentioned previously, where I'm going to check how much money was spent on a training and
mhm,
how much has been received after the training. Okay, or what is the
mm,
contribution of the training to business success or to the um, achievement of the organizational goal. So that is something I'm going to look out for, and all of these things help us to be able to meet the target of the organization. Once we are not able to meet the target of the organization, we are not able to organize trainings anymore. And like Doris said from right from the beginning, it becomes one avenue for the cutting of cost. Business leaders, CEOs will say, okay, we are not making so much, let's cut the cost on training. But once we are able to have that as a metric for us to guide or for us to use as a tool to know exactly what we are doing, the feedback we get from line managers, the return on investment that we put in as a business or as business leaders, we are able to convince leaders that okay, this thing is very good. Training is very is key for every organization, and we are not going to renege on it. So feedback is very good from line managers. Evaluation is very key, and then return on investment is very key for us. Yeah,
mm. So engaging the line managers and return
yeah,
on investment. I like the engaging the line managers part. So HRs must learn to walk the room. They shouldn't
yeah.
just sit at one place and expect data to come to them. They must walk the room, get the data, engage the managers, and also have the trust of the managers or the line managers so that they can get very, very good feedback from the training and all that. Okay,
I
we
think
still
the
having
other thing too that
difficulties.
you say,
Yeah,
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 apart from the line managers, let me just put in a quick thing. Apart from the line managers, you also want to quiz the colleagues or the peers of the employee, I mean the person who went for the training. So
right.
just quiz the colleagues. How is he performing? What do you think his performance has been so far after the training? Or what do you think we can do to motivate such a person? I mean, just trying for you to get information so you can work with. So just not we're not going to look at just the line managers, but the peers too, the
Mm,
colleagues, the friends, the people he works with, the people she works with. So get information
mm.
so that you can work with that. Yeah.
Great, great, great. So I had Doris to write in the comment section since we can't hear her. She says that while planning a training, here are my key KPIs. One, appropriate inputs for the training ambience, facilitator, and other logistics. So appropriate inputs for the training ambience, facilitators, and other logistics. Number two, training process so that the interventions can be adequately no So training process so that the interventions can adequately achieve the transmission of learning, of knowledge or skills, etc. Then number three, content adequacy in addressing the training objectives. I like that, the content adequacy. Content is king. Relevance of the training and timeliness. Is this just in time training that will be applied? Okay, just in time training that will be applied. That's like what the Kaizen principle or something like that. Okay, Doris, do we have you? Can you try speaking? Let's see if we can hear you. Doris, can you try speaking? Let's see if we can hear you. Okay, I think she's frozen now. So yeah, so oh, we can't hear you. Oh, we can't hear you. This is sad. Okay, but very apt points that you've put out there in planning the training. The ambience is important, the content is important, the relevance. Is it just in time? Okay, okay. So we'll do it that way. We'll do it that way. We'll, so I'll ask the questions, then I'll read your response in text out. Okay. So let me take the last set of questions. So Doris, the last set is, what are the challenges that come with measuring the outcome of training programs? What are the challenges, the major challenges that HR or leaders should look out for when it comes to um, measuring the output of training programs? So Hope, let me hear from you. The
Okay,
challenges.
right. So, one of the challenges that has always
Hope's internet
been
is
with
gone.
us is not
I
set
have you.
goals.
Okay,
Am I here? Am I audible?
you are here. You are.
Right. Okay. So, um, most trainings that are organized, you will see that they are not meeting the goals of the organization.
Hmm.
So you will say that they are not being smart goals. Okay, where it's not been it's not being specific. You cannot measure it. You cannot attain it. It's not being
Mm,
realistic, and it has not got any time frame. Okay,
mm,
so most of the challenges we face is not being able to meet this requirement. Most of the
mm,
trainings that we are going to organize should be able to meet this requirement of it should be a smart goal where you are meeting the demand of the organization. Remember, it is not about just ticking a box, like Doris
right.
rightly said from the beginning. It's not about ticking the box, but solving a problem, a challenge in the organization.
Mm,
And if your challenge is that your training is not smart, then you are already increasing the challenge of the organization. So
yeah,
your
yeah. You start on
challenge
the wrong footing.
should exactly. So you should be able to surmount the challenge of certain training programs that meets the needs for
Mm,
the smart goal of the organization. Um, I would say the other challenge is limited resources. Okay, for some managers,
yeah,
once your budget is low, it depends on the kind of people you're going for. Okay, so for instance, let me just use
sure,
myself as an
sure.
analogy. If you want me to train in, let's say, for instance, people development or leadership, and say, for
Mm-hmm,
instance, you get my profile and you say, okay, Hope, I want you to come and train on leadership, and I say, okay, Hope wants to charge you, let's say, $1,000 or say 1,000 Ghana cedis. It's not
mm,
the same as let me promote Jebasi here and the Leadership Strategy Institute.
yeah,
It will not be the same as Jebasi coming to train you. You understand?
true.
So
Yeah.
organizations would not be able to get the required facilitators for a particular training based on the budget.
Mm,
So that's going to be one of the challenges
right.
that I see here. If you have
So
the
I think we can
budget
take.
and
We are. Yeah, yeah. So we will be running against time. I just have like a minute to go. It's almost
sure,
5 o'clock
right.
now. and we promise to always keep within the time. So great. So I hear you say that one of the challenges is setting smart goals, and the other challenge too is budgetary constraints. And I must say that we have a write-up on our link on our social media channels that talk about how you can give training even when you are constrained with budget. So I want to encourage those here to check it out on our social media channels. And we have a write-up on that, how you can have equally good training with a meager budget. So I would
Yeah.
wait to take Doris's response on the challenges, and then we would call it a wrap. Oh, it just came in time, just in time. So the challenges, not success because of shortfalls in goal setting. Yes. Was the training addressing a real need, and has the need been achieved? You can't fake it. True. Human unconscious bias. Okay. Human unconscious bias addressed by setting clear, smart goals with desired outcomes. Have different people contributing to overcome bias. Okay, so you have to overcome the human bias. Okay, those are the solutions. Okay. So having human so one of the challenges is human unconscious bias, and to address this, you should have different people contributing to the outcome to overcome this kind of biases. Okay, thank you very much, Doris, for sharing that. So all too soon, we have come to the end of our conversation on measuring the impact of training programs as a manager or a leader. I know that we delayed a bit in the beginning, so the time looked too small. Definitely, we're going to have a part two of this. So please watch this space. Very soon, we'll certainly have a part two of this. But this has been a very eye-opening discussion for me. And what I've taken out of this is that HR leaders or leaders in general, we must be commercially involved. We must be business inclined. We must not just sit in a silo and do what we think pertains to us, but we must be contributors to the business, and we must know the organizational mandate and participate in building the business and not just building our various departments. And we must align departmental goals with organizational goals. And these are some of the key things for me. And I know that with over 50 listeners that you've had this evening, you are all taking away something. Let's keep the conversation going. Please do want to drop your comments, what you've learned out of this 1 hour discussion, and we'll keep the conversation going till the next moment or to the next time when we have a part two of this discussion. So to Hope and Doris, I want to say a very big thank you for taking time off your busy schedules to be here to talk to us on this all important topic of measuring the impact of training programs as a manager. And to the HR Certification Center, our sponsors for this program, a big thank you to the HR Certification Center. And every quarter of the year, we organize the international HR certification programs, APHR, PHR, SPHR. If you're an HR practitioner here, you need to double up. You need to increase your skill sets because people are getting more knowledge nowadays, and businesses are looking at profit, and they are looking at leaders and not just departmental heads. And the certification program is going to give you the necessary skills to stand out as a leader. Call this number 0244 122 855. I'll take it again, 0244 122 855. Let's have a discussion. Let's see how we can take you from the HR that you are today to the HR that is commercially aware and is a leader that drives the business and organizational mandate. I am Kwabena Nyamiche Dapa, and I've been your moderator for today's session. Thank you very much for joining us, and it's bye for now. Thank you, Doris, and thank you, Hope. Bye for now.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Doris.
Thank you.
Why do 93% of the world's leading multinational companies prefer certified professionals? Because they tend to be committed to higher standards and ethics and maintain an informed intercultural competency. Whether you're seeking to build a career or to upgrade your HR professional career, you need to get trained and certified at the HR Certification Center today. Our experience in training and certifying HR professionals is unparalleled. We're trusted to offer a comprehensive portfolio of advanced professional credentials for the HR professionals worldwide, and today, more than 500,000 HR professionals worldwide in 125 plus countries proudly maintain our credentials as a mark of higher professional distinction. HR Certification Center. Call or WhatsApp today on 0244 122 855. Why do 93% of the world's leading multinational companies